5 tractors, 70 years of fieldwork. Tonight we're honoring the Oliver machines farmers still trust, but one of them earned its reputation the hard way, pulling through jobs that broke newer iron. Which model is it, and what simple design choices kept it running when others quit? Stay with me as we count down the 5 most reliable Olivers and reveal our quiet champion at the end. Along the way, I'll share quick checks to spot a healthy tractor and the sounds every seasoned ear remembers. If you farmed through the late 60s and early 70s, you remember when tractors got a little more civilized without losing their grit. That's where the Oliver 1655 lives. It took the lessons farmers taught to 1550 and 1555, tightened the bolts, smoothed the rough edges, and showed up ready for a full day's work. No drama, no complaint. Let's start with what you feel first, the engine's character. The 1655 carries a smooth 6-cylinder that makes honest torque at practical RPM. It's not a screamer, it's a puller. Cold mornings, hot afternoons, spring tillage, or late season hauling, the motor settles into a steady rhythm and just keeps after it. Fuel and cooling systems are straightforward, filters are easy to reach, and service is the kind you can do in the machine shed with basic tools. That do-it-yourself friendliness is a quiet cornerstone of reliability. Now, the driveline. A stout gear transmission puts power to the ground with confidence, and many 1655s were fitted with a 2 or 3-speed shift-on-the-go unit. In the field, that matters. When the soil changes or the windrows thicken, you bump the speed without riding the clutch, keeping the engine in its sweet spot and the temperature where it belongs. The result is less wear, fewer interruptions, more acres covered before the light fades. Hydraulics are a second pillar. The 1655 answered farmers who asked for stronger, more responsive hydraulics with predictable lift and steady hold. You raise a plow, a loader, or a mower conditioner and it does exactly what your hand tells it to, no hunting, no chatter. Out back, an independent PTO engages with purpose and stays engaged, which is exactly what you want when a baler or chopper starts to pull hard. It's the kind of confidence that shortens a long day. Strength lives in the iron, too. A heavy cast center section ties the tractor together, resisting twist when you're working rough ground. Final drives and axles are built for real pull, not brochure talk. The drawbar and 3-point hitch feel planted, so the tractor tracks straight and true instead of getting light in the nose. Good tires and appropriate ballast turn that solidity into traction you can count on. And then there's the way a 1655 was laid out for the person in the seat. Clear sight lines to the hitch and drawbar. Levers where your hands expect them. Gauges you can read at a glance. Daily service points are right out in the open: oil, filters, belts, screens, so maintenance actually gets done. Wiring is sensible, linkages are durable, and there isn't a lot of fragile trim to fight with as the years go by. That practicality is reliability's best friend. What should a trustworthy 1655 feel like today? Clean starts, warm or cold. A calm idle. Steering that holds its line on the headland. Brakes that bite evenly. PTO engagement that's firm, not hesitant. A hitch that lifts smoothly and doesn't drift down under load. If equipped, a differential lock that sets and releases without complaint. Look along cases and hoses for minor seepage, listen for gear growl that doesn't belong, and make sure the hydraulic response is crisp. None of this is flashy, but it's exactly how the 1655 built its good name. In the end, the Oliver 1655's durability rests on 4 plain truths: a willing 6-cylinder that works where farmers work, a flexible, long-lived transmission, strong hydraulics with dependable PTO and hitch, and a farmer-friendly design that welcomes routine care. Not fussy. Not fragile. Just a refined workhorse that shows up, does the job, and asks for the next one. If a 1655 helped raise your crops, tell us what task it did best, and which state you were farming when it did it. Your stories keep this history alive. If you came of age on an American farm in the mid-1960s, you know this face. The Oliver 1850 didn't ask for attention. It earned respect the old-fashioned way, by showing up before sunrise, getting the job done, and starting right back up tomorrow. Tonight, we'll talk plainly about why so many farmers still call the 1850 one of the most reliable tractors Oliver ever built. First, the heart. Most 1850s left the factory with a Perkins 6-cylinder diesel, smooth, torquey, and thrifty on fuel. Gas and LP versions with the Waukesha 6 were also common, simple to service, and easy to keep in tune. No computers. No mystery. Just a straightforward fuel system, a stout cooling system, and parts you could source across the Midwest. That meant fewer surprises in the busy season, and repairs you could handle in the machine shed with basic tools. Next, the drivetrain. The 1850 paired its engine with a tough manual gearbox, and many machines carried an over-under, partial power shift that effectively gave you more working speeds. That mattered in the field. You could settle into the engine's sweet spot and nudge your ground speed as soil or crop changed, less clutch wear, less heat, more acres covered. Out back, an independent PTO engaged cleanly and stayed engaged, a quiet kind of confidence when you're baling hay, chopping silage, or running a pump. Hydraulics were another pillar of trust. The open center system delivered steady flow to remotes and a sure-footed three-point hitch. Implements raised without drama and held their height without constant fiddling. Fewer leaks when hoses were cared for, and predictable behavior that made a long day feel shorter. Add Oliver's heavy cast rear end and a strong drawbar, and you had a tractor that pulled more than its size suggested, without feeling skittish or light in the nose. Front weights and good tires turned that stability into traction. Reliability also lives in the little things. The 1850 gives you clear access to the dipstick, filters, belts, and radiator screen. Linkages are mechanical and durable. Wiring is simple and traceable. The operator's platform offers a wide view of the hitch and drawbar, important for older eyes and long shifts. It's the kind of layout that encourages routine maintenance because nothing gets in your way. What does a trustworthy 1850 feel like? It idles with that easy 6-cylinder rhythm, then digs in without complaint when the plow bites or the baler gets heavy. Steering stays steady on the headland. The PTO clicks in with purpose. The hitch lifts, holds, and lowers smoothly. At day's end you climb off, not because the tractor gave up, but because the sun did. If you're looking at one today, keep it practical. Check for tight PTO engagement, smooth hydraulic lift under load, firm brakes, and minimal steering play. Watch for clean starts, even when warm. Look along the cases and lines for seepage. None of that is glamorous, but it's exactly what kept the 1850 in the field for decades, and what will keep you as honest now. In the end, the 1850's reputation rests on four simple pillars: a hard-working 6-cylinder, a flexible and durable transmission, steady hydraulics with a dependable hitch and PTO, and a farmer-friendly design that welcomes maintenance. Not flashy. Not fragile. Just a good tractor, built for real work and a long life. If an 1850 helped raise your crops, tell us what job it did best on your farm, and what state you were in when it did it. Your stories are the living record of Oliver reliability. If you grew up on a farm after the war, chances are the Oliver 77 was more than a machine. It was the steady hand on busy mornings, the quiet partner at harvest, the tractor that simply did what you asked, day after day, season after season. Tonight, let's talk plainly about why the 77 earned a reputation for reliability that's still respected across rural America. First, the heart of the tractor, a smooth-running, low-stress six-cylinder from Waukesha. Farmers love that easy torque at modest RPM, the kind that pulls a plow without drama and settles into a calm idle at the end of the row. The fueling and ignition were straightforward, carburetor with magneto or coil and distributor, depending on how your tractor was spec'd, so tuning was familiar, parts were available, and nothing required a college degree to service. A generous cooling system and stout lubrication kept that engine comfortable on hot July afternoons, when hay won't wait and the wind won't blow. Reliability also lives in the driveline. The 77's gear drive transmission is simple and durable, with positive shifts and a clutch you can feel. Many tractors were equipped with live PTO and live hydraulics, features that make a long day shorter. You keep the implement moving while changing ground speed. You lift and feather a cylinder without juggling levers or stopping the tractor. Out back, the drawbar and final drives are heavy cast iron, no shortcuts there, so the 77 takes to belt work, balers, mowers, and augers with calm confidence. Then there's the frame and running gear. The cast center section ties the tractor together like a bridge girder, resisting twist when the soil turns mean. Adjustable front ends and rear tread settings let row crop operators get their spacing right without exotic tools. Big, honest steel everywhere. Nothing fragile, nothing fussy. But the reason owners still brag on a 77 isn't just what's inside, it's how easy it is to keep one right. Daily service points are in plain view: dipstick, drain, filters, grease zerks where you expect them. The oil bath air cleaner is rugged and forgiving in dusty fields. Wiring is simple and traceable. You don't have to remove half the tractor to fix a small leak or replace a belt. That practicality keeps a machine reliable, because routine maintenance actually gets done. What does a trustworthy 77 feel like in the seat? It starts clean, settles into that gentle six-cylinder rhythm, and holds steady on the headland without wandering. The PTO engages with purpose. Hydraulics lift without chatter and hold without sag. All day, the tractor feels composed, never hurried, never delicate, just willing. If you're looking at one today, here's a sensible checklist. Warm starts should be crisp. Listen for steady valve and gear sounds, not knocks or growls. Check steering play and brake balance on a firm surface. Engage the PTO under load, it should bite and stay put. Cycle the hydraulics with a weight on, watch for smooth lift and no drift. Look along gaskets and lines for seepage. None of this is glamorous, but it's exactly how the 77 earned its good name. In the end, the Oliver 77's durability rests on four plain pillars: a smooth, understressed six-cylinder, a simple, stout gearbox and finals, dependable PTO and hydraulics that make work flow, and a farmer-friendly layout that invites care. It isn't flashy. It isn't picky. It's the kind of tractor you trust with the day's plan, and the next day's too. If a 77 worked your ground, tell us the job it did best, and the state you were farming when it did it. Your stories are how this history stays alive. If you worked the land in the mid-1950s, you remember when a tractor wasn't just equipment, it was part of the family rhythm. The Oliver Super 88 fit that life. It showed up before daylight, took the rough with the smooth, and went back to the shed with fuel left in the tank. Tonight, let's talk clearly about why the Super 88 earned its reputation for reliability and long service. We start with the heart, a smooth, understressed Waukesha six-cylinder. It makes honest torque at working RPM, not just on paper. Cold mornings, July heat, clay that fights back, the Super 88 settles into a calm cadence and keeps pulling. The fuel and ignition systems are straightforward, the cooling system is generous, and parts are sensible and serviceable. No guesswork, no gadgets. That simplicity is the first pillar of trust. Next, the driveline. The Super 88 uses a stout gear transmission with positive, mechanical feel. Clutch engagement is predictable, so you can back up to a baler tongue or ease into a heavy windrow without drama. Many tractors were equipped with live PTO and live hydraulics, a big step forward for day-to-day work. Live PTO lets your implement keep turning at 540 RPM while you change ground speed, which means better bales, cleaner mowing, smoother auger work. It saves the clutch, saves your nerves, and saves daylight. Hydraulics are the quiet hero. The open center system delivers steady flow to remotes and a sure 3-point hitch when fitted. Raise a plow, a hay rake, or a small loader and the Super 88 answers your hand, no hunting, no chatter. That predictability turns long hours into productive hours. Strength lives in the iron. A heavy cast rear end, robust final drives, and a solid drawbar give the tractor a planted stance. With proper ballast and tire pressure, 38-inch rears were common. Weight becomes traction, not trouble. The center section ties the tractor together so the frame doesn't twist when the sod turns mean. Nothing flimsy, everything purposeful. Serviceability is where reliability grows old gracefully. Daily checks are out in the open: dipstick, oil filter, radiator screen, belts, and grease fittings. The oil bath air cleaner forgives dusty fields and busy weeks. Wiring is simple and traceable. You don't need a specialty toolbox to keep a Super 88 right. You need discipline and a grease gun. That's how machines last. What should a trustworthy Super 88 feel like? Clean starts, warm or cold. A steady idle. Steering that holds a line on the headland, brakes that bite evenly, PTO that engages with intent. Under load, the hitch lifts smooth and doesn't drift. Those are the small signals of a big truth: the tractor is ready to work. If you're considering one today, keep a practical checklist, listen for even valve and gear sounds, check steering play, test live PTO and hydraulics under weight, and look for dry cases and hoses. Plain steps, proven by time. In the end, the Super 88's reputation rests on 4 pillars: a willing 6-cylinder, a simple and durable gearbox, steady hydraulics with dependable PTO, and a farmer-friendly layout that invites care. Not flashy. Not fragile. Just a good Oliver, built to help, built to last. If a Super 88 worked your acres, tell us the job it did best, and which state you were farming when it did it. Your stories keep this history alive. If you worked the land in the early 70s, you remember when farms got bigger, implements got wider, and the job demanded more muscle without giving up reliability. That's where the Oliver 2255 made its name. It wasn't built to pose for posters. It was built to pull, hour after hour, acre after acre, and come back tomorrow ready for more. At the center of the 2255 is a Caterpillar V8 diesel. Farmers didn't buy it for noise or drama, they bought it for honest torque that shows up down in the working RPMs. Keep clean fuel in it, keep the oil fresh, keep the cooling system clear, and that engine will give you the steady kind of power that moves a chisel plow through heavy ground and hauls full wagons without feeling winded. The lesson was simple: treat heat and lubrication as priorities and the big V8 will treat you right. Power is only half the story. The 2255's drivetrain is stout and straightforward, gears you can feel, and on many tractors, an over-under shift that lets you adjust ground speed on the fly without riding the clutch. In real field work, that matters. When the soil changes or the windrow thickens, you bump the speed and stay in the engine's sweet spot. Less clutch heat, less wear, more work done before the light fades. Hydraulics and PTO seal the deal. The open center system delivers predictable flow to remotes, and the independent PTO engages with purpose and stays there, exactly what you want when a baler or forage chopper leans on the tractor. The 3-point hitch lifts smooth, holds steady, and lowers like you asked. No hunting, no guessing, just control that shortens a long day. Strength lives in the iron. A heavy cast rear end, big finals, and a strong drawbar make the 2255 feel planted. With proper ballast, good tires, and a careful eye on tire pressure, that weight turns into traction. The frame doesn't flinch on rough ground, and the front end stays honest instead of getting light when you hook a serious load. It's big iron, yes, but it's calm iron. Reliability also shows up in service. Daily checks are right in view: oil, filters, belts, screens. Linkages are mechanical and durable. Wiring is simple and traceable. You don't need a suitcase of specialty tools to keep a 2255 in fighting shape. You need discipline, a grease gun, and a schedule. Thinking about one today? Do what seasoned buyers do. Warm it up and watch oil pressure. Keep an eye on coolant temperature under load. Engage the PTO, feel for a clean bite. Raise a heavy implement and make sure the hitch doesn't drift down. Listen for gear growl that doesn't belong. Check steering play and brake balance on a hard surface. Look along the cases and lines for seepage. None of that is glamorous, but it's the checklist that saves seasons. In the end, the 2255's reputation rests on 4 plain pillars: a hard-working cat diesel, a flexible and durable driveline, steady hydraulics with a dependable PTO and hitch, and a farmer-friendly layout that makes routine care routine. Not flashy. Not fragile. Just a big, trustworthy Oliver that took on the heavy work and kept right on going. If a 2255 pulled on your farm, tell us what it hauled best, and which state you were in when it did it. Your stories keep this history alive. Thanks for riding along. If an Oliver helped raise your crops, share the year, the job it did best, and your state, we'll pin a few memories at the top. For more Straight Talk farm history, hit subscribe and pass this along to a friend who still keeps a grease gun by the door. Next up, the unkillable implements that outlast the weather and the workload. Until then, keep the oil clean and the radiator clear.